Hello, and welcome to the second part of your online tutorials that are designed to give you some inside information that will help you to become ever better at being yourself. The goal is not to change you, but to give you the tools to allow you to maximize your strengths while minimizing the impact of your blockers. Please recall that our goal here is to assist you to achieve real success. And that always happens at exactly the point where what you know how to do intersects with what you love to do. You recall that there are two critical components that we were able to measure from your recent online survey. And this is the second part of it that deals with your natural behaviors, which is how you deliver your critical thinking and your motivators into the world. You will find that the understanding of your behaviors also serves as a real key component in working effectively with your boss, your manager, your key associates, and the direct reports that you will encounter throughout the rest of your business career. This is really about giving you communication and management tools that will serve you for the rest of your life. This information is housed within your DISCstyle behavioral report. Human behaviors have been researched and studied for the past 75 years. The gold standard for measuring human behavior is found and known as the DISC instrument, the DISC instrument. The D in DISC stands for dominance. It is how assertive we are, how aggressively do we approach the problems that we encounter in our life. The I in the DISC acronym stands for influence or extroversion. It's our degree of social comfort and how we approach and deal with the other people in our life. The I factor, influence or extroversion. The S factor stands for steadiness or patience. Patience or acceptance is how we approach the pace and the activity level that we encounter in our day-to-day activities. And that can be from somebody who's very patient on one end, on the other end is somebody who's very urgent. And finally, the C factor in the DISC acronym stands for conscientiousness or compliance. It's the degree of care, control, accuracy, detail that you use as you approach the structure, the rules, and the procedures that you encounter in your day-to-day activity. This report is a 31-page report, and it's just filled with really powerful information for you. Because none of us work in a vacuum, none of us work by ourselves. In order for us to be successful, we simply must effectively interact with other people. The modern business models require this interaction. So you're invited to make a short investment in time and effort in order to make your ability to work with others more effective and with less conflict. The path to that understanding is found in great measure in this report. It's just filled with valuable information, including your general characteristics, the natural strengths that you would bring to any organization, the do's and don'ts of effective communication with you. This alone is such a valuable piece of information, as well as the ideal work environment for you. Will be so helpful for you to understand these things about yourself at this stage of your life instead of waiting until you're in your late 50s to really gain an understanding and an insight into yourself. And we also include other components like the areas for growth and continual improvement for you. This is really a very, very powerful tool, and we want to encourage you to spend some time with this. Don't rush through it. This is really a picture, an X-ray, an MRI of how you choose to interact with the world that you function in. The report begins with an expanded view of the 4 DISC behaviors. That is, the dominance, the influence or extroversion, the steadiness or patience, and the compliance, conscientiousness, or following the rules. So the more you understand this entire tutorial will be dealing with these 4 factors, this DISC acronym: dominance, influence or extroversion, steadiness or patience, and compliance or comprehensiveness. You see that these 4 factors each have a score. Now this is a sample. Your score will be different, but it'll be the same graph, but the intensities are likely to be different. We also present that same information of those 4 DISC factors are also presented for you in a single plot on this behavioral diamond. The D, the I, the S, and the C are in each of the 4 corners, and where the big dot is identifies how these factors work together to give you an overall understanding of your style. You'll see that there are markers on the outside of this behavioral diamond that tells us, depending upon which slice of this pie that you plot in, that this gives you an overall indication of your behaviors, running anywhere from very assertive in this category here to very supportive down here, very analytical here, very persuasive here, and combinations of these as you go around the wheel. This is, again, something that you need to understand, because when we get into the group work or how individuals are going to work with one another, where you plot on the wheel and where another person plots on the wheel, it's going to be very important to helping you understand the most effective way for you to connect and communicate with them. You will also find on page 5 of your report, of your behavioral report, that you're going to have 2 pages of general characteristics. You should find them to be very informative and quite accurate about you. We suggest that you review them a statement at a time. Look at each one and ask yourself, do I agree with this statement? Do I disagree with this statement? Or would I edit this statement? Typically, you're going to find that these are quite accurate and reliable for you, giving you a good understanding of what it is that you bring to the day-to-day interaction with other people. Remember, everyone has strengths and everyone has blockers. So don't expect that you're going to be perfect. Everyone has blockers, areas that do not work to their best advantage. So as you review these statements, you're going to find them typically to be quite accurate. You'll also notice on this page and throughout your report, you're going to see this little graphic here. This is quite powerful. It takes your D, I, S, and C scores, both your natural scores, which is your baseline behavioral style, and it also, in the left side, shows you your adapted behavioral style, which is how you feel, or in this case, how this person feels, that they needed to adjust their natural style to operate in their current environment. You'll see that their dominance score naturally was very high. In their adapted style, it's gone down. Their extroversion score was moderate in their natural style, and it's gone up considerably in their adapted style. This person in their particular workplace feels the need to be less assertive and more outgoing, more socially connected than they are in their natural environment. The next page, page 7, shows you your natural strengths and how you apply them in the workplace. So we look at your specific strengths that you bring, as well as how you will apply them on the job. Again, very valuable information identifying for you, giving you some clues as to where your natural strengths are as you're looking at the particular field that you want to go into, to help you understand the alignment between your natural style and the needs of the job. The next page is incredibly powerful. Please understand that communication is the engine that drives effective teamwork. This page talks about the do's and don'ts of communication with you. The default communication style that we try to use with everyone is the one that we prefer that people use with us. And as we're going to get into in a second, this can be a strategy that backfires quite a bit. So I want to plant the seed that that strategy of treating everyone the same, for example, if you like lots of details and if you like to think about data and really seriously consider things for a great deal of time before you pull your trigger, and you assume that everyone else wants to be communicated in that fashion, that is going to be a mistake. And I'll show you that in great detail in a moment. We're going to also show you a much stronger proven strategy later in this presentation. The goal, of course, is to enable you to more effectively communicate with the key people in your life. This page in your report presents the specifics that relate to you, and they're the strategies that you do and do not find effective. So what you want to do is you want to take a few minutes and carefully read these. And the upper half of this deals with the strategies that you do like. So we encourage you to go through and make a check mark besides the 3 or 4 of them that really resonate with you, and then maybe draw a circle around the one that is most important for other people to know in connecting with you. The next part of this deals with the strategies that you do not like. The strategies that are not effective with you. Again, marking 3 or 4 of them and making a circle around the one that is most important for you. This information is going to prove to be extremely valuable. Just imagine how your direct reports, if you are in a position where you have some, how valuable that would be for them on their first day of work to understand. They would get this document that you had filled out that would show them the most and the least effective way to connect with you, how much easier their life would be. Your tactics, of course, are going to be different, and they're tailored just for you. But the page will be the same, it's just the information will be different, tailored specifically to you. We also are going to show you your ideal workplace environment. This is important because you will thrive in environments that you perceive as favorable, and where you have some control and influence over the events that are unfolding. So this gives you a list of environments that would be effective. And as you look at the benchmarking models that we've created for you, this will also help you to understand which of those models is going to be closest to your natural style. Your ideal environment provides you with specific examples of those favorite environments for you. And of course, your statements will be different than these. They've been crafted just for you. Now here's a point of important human behavioral understanding and clarification. The 4 DISC factors, the D, the I, the S, and the C, each of us have some degree of each of these factors. That is, we all have some degree of dominance, some degree of extroversion, some degree of patience, and some degree of conscientiousness. Typically, one of these 4 factors will lead your behaviors. It will be the strongest one. It will be the highest scoring one. And we're going to be reviewing how they all work together, but it's also important to understand that one of them will be the one that is most observed by other people. So we'll be speaking about an overall behavioral style that can be referred to as someone, if the D is the highest, they would be a high D. If the S is your highest score, you would be a high S, etc. This is important because the next piece we're going to look at is tailored to each of these 4 factors. We're going to happen to look at someone who is a high D. So this is what we have. This person is a high D, and we're going to look at the stressors, the perceptions, and the tactics that this person can use to be more effective with others. And that always involves understanding yourself first. So the primary style of this individual is that of the high D. This individual is very direct and assertive, results-oriented, makes rapid decisions, can be impatient, wants to be a leader. These are typical high D factors. So you'll see that this page includes the typical behaviors that this person will exhibit when they get in conflict with other people. So when you read your report, this is going to identify the typical behaviors that you will exhibit, that you will display when you get into conflict with others. It will show you when you get under stress, how you appear to other people. Also, when you're under stress, it will show you what you need in order to relieve that stress. And finally, it shows you your watch-outs, meaning you need to be careful because these behaviors that are listed for you can cause conflict with other people. So you see, time after time, we're giving you piece after piece of this puzzle so that you will understand your natural behavioral style and how you can use it to your best advantage. So let's take a look at your specific natural style. And you'll see that each of the four factors, the D, the I, the S, and the C, are listed here. The D, the I, the S, and the C. And it will show you what this particular pattern, which of the four patterns that you plot in, what the primary needs are of this pattern, and they're going to be different for the four styles. The emotion that is tied to each of the four styles is different, and the fears that each of the four styles have are different, giving you more clues to understanding yourself and also to begin to identify the other people in your world based upon understanding how these different styles appear. And you'll be able to identify, oh, that person is like this, and that person is like this. And once you understand that, understand where you plot, understand where the other person plots, then we're about to give you some strategies that you can use to more effectively connect and communicate with them. Note that the needs, the emotions, and the fears are different for each of the four styles. Very, very important. Also, the colored boxes show you the intensity of this individual's dominance, this individual's influence or extroversion, this person's steadiness or patience, and this person's compliance. Giving you a very clear picture, in this case, when you read your report, how you appear to other people in terms of these four major behavioral factors. We also provide you with the same information for your adapted style. Now let's go back for a second, looking at the natural style. This is your baseline. This is how you're wired. But all of us have to adjust to our environment. The adapted behavior, which is what we have here, is how we adjust or change our natural style to get along in the current environment that we're in. Now, the natural style tends to remain very stable over a lifetime, but the adapted style can change frequently depending upon the current situation. So you'll notice that this individual's dominance was here in his natural style, but in his adapted style, it went down. His extroversion went up, so he's feeling in his particular environment that he has to become less assertive and more outgoing. Very, very valuable, very easy for you to view the differences between your natural style and your adapted style. So you can see that this person's adapted style, he became less dominant, more extroverted. He was basically the same for his patience level, his steadiness level, and he became more conscientious. So his C factor went up. He became more compliant and more detail-oriented. You want to compare your changes between your natural and your adapted style. The closer they are together, the less tension, the less stress you're going to be under. This next page talks about the keys to motivation and management. It will show you what you want from your environment. Again, very helpful to you as you're determining what type of a position do I want to apply for? Where do I want to begin my career? Where do I want to adjust my career, etc.? The second half of this talks about the things that you need, the things that will be important for you in this particular environment. The more of these ingredients that are in place for you, the happier you're going to be as you take your knowledge, what you know how to do, and leverage it across the projects that you're working on as you have to interact and work with other people. We have to include this page, even though this is what most people want to look at first. We don't focus on this. We want you to understand this, but we want you to focus on your strengths. Feed your strengths and starve your blockers. But here are the areas for improvement, and these again will be unique for you. So this is the DISCstyle behavioral diamond, and this is so powerful because we're able to take all 4 of your DISC scores and mathematically compute and plot them as a single plot point. So here we have this guy's natural scores, very high D, moderate extroversion, kind of low patience, and rather low compliance. You put those together mathematically, and this individual plots right here in his natural style. Now his adapted style, remember that had changed, and so the plot on the wheel changes. He'd become less extroverted, moving away from the high D, and becoming more extroverted, moving towards the I. So like you move your mouse around on your computer screen, as you move on different places on the wheel, these factors move up and down as a reflection of the overall behavioral style that you have. Now we want to talk about how you can make this information work for you. And on page 15, we want to encourage you to carefully read this page. It comes down to really 3 steps that we'll talk about over and over again. The first one is to understand yourself. Use what you've discovered so far to really understand your own behavioral style. Step 2, learn to use what we've talked about, these clues, recognizing the other behavioral styles so that you can recognize them as you interact with other people. And then step 3 is to use what we call the platinum rule, which is to adjust your message, not your idea, but your message, so that it will resonate with the other person's behavioral style. So let's explore how you do this. This can very well be one of the most valuable things you will learn that will serve you well for the rest of your life. It begins with an introduction of how to use this DISC tool to improve your interactions, your connections, and your teamwork with other people in the workplace. So again, page 16, encourage you to take a moment and read this information, remembering the 3 steps. Understand yourself. What is your behavioral style? That is, where on this wheel do you plot? 2, understand your boss and the key members of the team or the teams that you do or will work with. And then 3, learn to just adjust your message so that you can resonate with the other person's style. This is so powerful. It can be life-changing. You're all familiar with the golden rule. In the Western world, the golden rule is considered the absolute watchword of human behavior. And basically it says, do unto others. I mean, it is an iteration of the rule of karma, treating others the way you want to be treated. Well, if we apply the golden rule to communication, it would say this: communicate with others the way you want to be communicated with. Well, the golden rule works for many aspects of our life, but it lets us down in communication. And I'll show you why in just a moment. The better tactic, the better strategy, the better rule is called the platinum rule. And the platinum rule says, if you want to communicate effectively with other people, do so in a way that they want to be communicated with. You see the difference? The golden rule would say, well, communicate with everybody the way you want to be communicated with. So if you like details, give everybody details. If you don't like details, don't give anybody details. But the platinum rule says, wait a minute. Use what you've learned here to identify the other person's style and then connect your idea, your message, link it to their style, the way they want to be communicated with. So maybe you're asking yourself, well, why would I want to change my communication style? What are you suggesting this for? Well, here's why. We know that if we take this behavioral wheel, the 4 factors, the D, the I, the S, and the C, and we divide this into 4 quadrants. If you plot up here in this quadrant, as our sample candidate did, you remember he plots up in here, only 18% of the world's population plots here. 18%. That means that 82% of the people that you're going to encounter are going to have a different style of behavior than you do. So if the golden rule says, well, if I'm up here, I'm very direct and I'm very guarded in my behaviors, and if I treat everyone else that same way, 8 out of 10 people that I meet are not going to like that style. If I plot down here in the lower right-hand quadrant, 29% of the world plots down here. These people are very direct, like these people are up here, but they're very open. These are the very friendly, the outgoing, the sales type people, the real smiley, friendly, open. They want to talk about their personal feelings. They want to talk about your feelings, etc. Only 29% of the world's population plots in this quadrant, which means that 71%, 7 out of 10 people, would not respond to this style. You see where we're going with this. The next pattern is here. This is the people who have the steadiness or the patience as their highest factor. This is the largest segment of the population. 45% of the world's population is open. That is, they want to be warm, enthusiastic. They want to express their opinions. They want to digress from the agenda. You know, they'll chit-chat. They'll connect with other people. But they're indirect in their style, which means they're patient, reserved, cooperative, and they want to be invited to participate. 45% of the world plots down here, which means still that 55% of the world plots elsewhere. So even in the largest segment of the population, over half of the people that you will meet will have a different behavioral style. So you can see how important this is. And then take a look at the last one, the upper left-hand quadrant. These are the people who are principally compliant. They are very, very analytical people. They're indirect, that is, that they're patient, reserved, cooperative. They also want to be invited. And they're guarded. That is, they're private, they're non-emotional. They want to talk specifics. They want to talk data. They will stay on task. They will stay on target. Only 8% of the world plots up here. So if you're one of those 8% people and you want to communicate with everyone the way you want to be communicated with, well, you can see the dilemma. 92% of the world is not going to respond to this style of communication. So here you see where we're going with this. This is based upon over 50 years of research about how people work together in a more effective way. Now, we're never going to eliminate all conflict, but we can make it manageable. We can help you avoid a number of problems every single day and every single week in the workplace and in your personal life for the rest of your life by understanding these 3 steps. Understand yourself. Where do you plot? And does that mean you're direct and guarded? Are you direct and open? Are you indirect and open or indirect and guarded? You see, this is so simple. We can break it down into one of 4 categories. So, where is your natural behavioral plot? Well, you see, this person's natural behavioral plot is right here. So he's direct and guarded, like 18% of the world's population. So you see that his natural behaviors are here, and that's always the one that you want to focus on, the natural style. So he is direct, that is, this individual is very results-driven, competitive, emphatic, likes to contribute, and he is guarded. You see, direct and guarded anywhere in this quadrant. So private, non-emotional, talk specific, wants to stay on task and on target. So here's a quiz. How would this person who is direct and guarded, how would he, and take a look here, direct and guarded, natural style, direct is results, competitive, and guarded, non-emotional. How would this person who's direct and guarded adjust or adapt their behavior to connect with someone who plots down here? Now, this person is also direct, just like this person, but this person down here is open, and this person is guarded. So, how can we give you a very simple yet powerful way to make this adjustment so that this person in the upper right-hand quadrant who's direct and guarded can communicate with this person who's direct and open? And here's how we do it. Remember, they're both direct. It's just this person's guarded, this person is open. So if this person wants to connect with this person, the only change they have to make is to become more open. So how do they do that? Well, here we go. This is included on page 17 of your report. If you want to increase your openness, these are the tactics that you can use. It's so simple. You don't change your idea, you just change how you present it. So let's back up for a second. This person, direct and guarded, connecting with this person who's direct and open. They're both direct. The only difference is this person's guarded, this person is open. So this person wants to become more open. So they will increase their openness. Now remember, communication is a two-way street. So if this person wants to improve his or her connections with this person, they're, again, both direct. The only difference is this person needs to become less open and more guarded, because that's how this person likes to be connected with, which is different than this person. And all he has to do is make a slight adjustment just for the few minutes that these individuals are connecting. So if you want to decrease your openness, here's what you do. Use these strategies. You get right to the task. You maintain a logical, factual orientation. You stay on the agenda. You really remember that this person is all about results, so you don't waste their time. And you downplay enthusiasm and body movement. And you use business-like language. So here's what happens. You got these two people working together, and they both understand that, okay, I plot here, and only 18% of the world communicates the way I do. I plot down here, only 29% of the world communicates like I do. And because I have a group report like this that tells me my particular group, this person is here, maybe this is my boss, and this is a direct report, I need to remember then the most effective way to communicate with this person is to decrease my openness. Going this way and coming this way, this person wants to increase their openness. Doing that changes the whole dynamic and makes it extremely powerful and improves the communications. So if this person is direct and guarded, same guy, but this time, how will they connect with somebody who's indirect? You see? Somebody who's over here. Now this time, they're both guarded. What changes is that one's direct and one's indirect. The difference being this person, same guy, results driven, competitive, blah, blah, blah. This person over here is way more patient. He's reserved or she's reserved, cooperative, and wants to be invited. This person doesn't need to be invited to volunteer their opinion. They're assertive, you see? Very assertive. These people are very analytical. Only 8% of the world is like this. 18% of the world is like this. So when this person wants to connect with this person, they're going to decrease their directness. You see? And this person is going to increase his or her directness in going this way. So here's how we do it. In order to increase or decrease your directness, you follow these strategies. It's just that simple. Now, maybe you're saying, well, wait a minute, what if I don't have this wheel? Well, you remember we talked about the clues. So study those pages. Be aware of how those people act. And then you will be able to make very good judgments about where people plot and how you can use that information to your best advantage. Here's some more clues right here. The pace that they operate at. These are the 4 different styles, the D, the I, the S, and the C. What's important to them? What do they seek? What are their strengths? What are their fears? What irritates them? They will measure their personal worth by these things. And in the workplace, this is how they're going to seem to you. This gives you a tremendous amount of information that you can actually use for the rest of your life to identify the behavioral style of those other people, and then using what you have on page 17, where you're able to determine how to increase or decrease your openness and increase or decrease your directness, will make a tremendous impact going forward. All of these factors are really very, very valuable to you. We call them clues. Understand yourself, understand your boss. That should probably be job number 1. And then understand the key coworkers so that you can adjust your message to better resonate with the other person's style. Now here's some more really powerful pages starting on page 19. Breaking it down into each of the 4 factors. It gives you key characteristics of each one of these people. The highly dominant person is going to be wanting to do these things. And so it tells you how to react to that. They're going to want to know facts and highlights, so you provide them with concise data. It will be different for all 4 factors. You see, that's the key. Instead of one size does not fit all. The key is for you to understand where you plot, understand where does this other person plot, and then how do I deliver my message in a way that is most palatable for them. So you have this information for all 4 factors. You see, this is for the high S people. They're concerned with stability, so you show them how your ideas are going to minimize risk for them. Now, a high D person could care less about the risk. So adjusting your message based upon informed understanding of the 4 different behavioral styles. And then we give you this piece. So once you identify that, well, I believe my boss is a high D person, he certainly acts like this, this gives you some specific strategies that you can use to really work more effectively with this person. How you can help them at work. If you want to persuade them, these are strategies. And in a social setting, how you can react to them in the most effective way. This will serve you so well, and it's available for all 4 styles. Then the next segment of the report, starting on page 25, shows you that if you plot in this quadrant and somebody else plots in this quadrant, it creates a double tension because you have both an issue around openness and directness. This is called the X pattern. So if you're here, someone's here, or if you're here and someone's here, those are the most difficult adjustments that you have to make because you have to become aware of both changing your degree of openness and your degree of directness. Now, this is not as difficult to do as you might think, but it's not something that you're going to do, in 5 minutes. That's why this exercise is designed to really give you what you need to use this information effectively for the rest of your life. And then the single tensions would be this way or this way. So you would only have to change either your directness or your openness, either way. And then the final view that we want to give you. And this is how your 4 DISC factors work together to create the 12 integrated behaviors. Typically, we've talked about the 4 factors. The D, that is your dominance. The I, your influence or extroversion. The S is your steadiness or patience. And the C is your compliance or conscientiousness, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, etc. In this section of the report, we're also going to give you an insight into how, in this case, the D factor is influenced by the other 3. So concrete and direct is how the extroversion influences the dominance. Self-determination is how the steadiness influences the dominance. And the individualistic measure is how the compliance or the conscientiousness influences the dominance. And this is available for you for all 4 of the factors. So instead of just having 4 clues, you now have 12. And again, this is a very, very powerful insight, and I encourage you to spend some time with this and read it. Your 12 integrated behaviors are presented like this. This is just a sample, of course. Your report will have your unique hierarchy. Our hierarchies are going to be different. Notice that there's a precise definition that defines each one of these behaviors that includes the integration of how the primary factor is influenced by the secondary factor. Notice that they also have an intensity score. And this tells you just really how powerful is this going to be. And on the second page of this report, it gives you an intensity scorecard so that you will understand the difference between high intensity, high moderate intensity, etc. The intensity score is really important. These all have unique means and medians in them. So it is the intensity score that you want to pay attention to. Now, there's one other important point about intensity. You're going to notice that there are some scores that have a moderate intensity. Let's back up a page. You'll notice that there is 2 of them here, persistence and the perceptive behavior, have moderate intensity. That does not mean that it is a middle of the road, moderate, mild behavior. It means that if it is a moderate score, that this behavior may or may not be displayed based upon two important considerations. The first one is personal control of the current situation. So if you're in a situation that you feel you have some control, you may not feel like you need to display that behavior. If not, if you feel like, oh man, I have no control over this situation at all, then you will display the moderate behavior to get your needs met. The second factor is the acceptability of the situation. If the overall situation is acceptable, you will likely not display this behavior. But on the other hand, if it becomes unacceptable, you will display this behavior. So the moderate score is really important, and it's listed for you here in the scoring legend. So the page 30 of your report is your four-factor graph. And the graph on the right is your most important one, as it is your natural style. It's your baseline style. It's the one that represents how you're actually wired. The adapted style is the graph on the left, and this one changes based upon the circumstances. So you can see in this person's circumstances, they've had to dial down their dominance. You see, it's gone from way up here down here. They've had to increase their extroversion. The steadiness has gone up a little bit, and the compliance has gone up. A reflection of what's going on in this person's environment. The closer these two graphs are together, the less the stress is in this person's life. The behavioral diamond works exactly the same way. The circle is, or the dot is the natural style, the star is the adapted style. By the way, in this page, you'll notice that there's a set of descriptors that surround each of these slices of the pie. So this tells us that this person's natural style, very assertive, results focused, rapid decisions, etc. But their adapted style, they've had to adjust and change and become very much a different person. Very outgoing and persuasive, people-oriented. So you see there's a tremendous switch that's changed here. This person up here is guarded by their natural style, but in the workplace they've had to become more open. And they've had to exercise a fair amount of energy to make that happen. The four DISC plot points go together, the D, the I, the S, and the C, to create the single plot point. Again, the same three questions. Where do you plot? Where does your boss plot? And then how do you adjust your style based upon the directness and the openness being closed or guarded, so that the message connects with the other person in the most effective way, depending upon where you plot or they plot, to increase your directness and or your openness. Now, these are the results of the 6 different engineering models, and this is where they plot on the wheel. The management engineering model plots here in this lower right-hand quadrant. The development engineer and the production engineer both plot here in the lower left-hand quadrant. The operations engineer, the research engineer, and the design engineer plot in the upper left-hand quadrant. So it's very important that you look at this in terms of understanding yourself, and then as a guide to help you make the right choices, you can see, well, how do I compare to these benchmark models that have been created for successful engineering positions. You can review the benchmarks in great detail by printing out your last page of your report and then going to this address here, People Chemistry, and there's a dash there, people-chemistry.us/ENG benchmarks, in order to compare your scores to the rest of the benchmarks. And that will really give you some strong indications as to what you can do. We can really thank Mr. Atul Patil for working so diligently and so focused on developing these engineering guidelines that you can use to view both how your natural motivators, that's the first part of the tutorial, and your natural behaviors will fit with the needs of the 6 different types of engineering. We'll show you the results of this study, and you compare it to your own in terms of both the motivators and the behaviors. So looking at the motivators in your workplace index, you're going to print page 5, which is your page that'll look like this. And this is just a sample. Your page, the scores will be different. And you will use this to compare to the benchmarks on the benchmarking page, which is located right here. And you can compare your models to those scores in terms of the motivators, and then the same with the behaviors. And all of this information is included for each of the 6 benchmarks. So, in summary, you've heard this before. Where do you plot on this diamond? And you've got to know that. Where does your boss plot? And if you don't currently have a manager, you now know how you can identify their behavior based upon the way in which they react to you. Are they direct? Are they guarded? Are they direct and open? Are they indirect and open, or indirect and guarded? Based upon where they plot and where you plot, you now know the most effective way that you can adjust your style to communicate with them. So, as we go through this, we hope that you will find that this will be helpful to you, valuable to you, and as you go through any of the supporting pages, you'll see that there's contact information for us. You're welcome to give us a call, give us an email, and we're happy to answer any specific questions that you might have. This can really make a big difference in your life. This information was not available to earlier generations to use as they went out into the workplace. Use it well. Best of luck, and look forward to hearing of your great successes. Thanks for visiting. Bye-bye now.